All right. Obviously, this is the first time this year we've talked about things defensively. It's good to get out there and finally start practicing. We're in the fifth day of it, and we had pads on for the first time. And of course, you obviously play football in pads, so it was good to be out there doing that. Those short days practices are a little tough when you're a defensive coach. But the good thing about it is not to be coach speak, but I think probably the thing that sticks out the most right now is the energy and the retention of spring practice and what the older guys have done in years past. Very, very good retention in what we do and how we do things. And then the leadership has been very, very good. So, but I think probably if you said one thing right now that sticks out is the football IQ of the group, particularly the top 15, 16, 18. The football IQ and the communication probably sticks out the most. With that, we'll open it up.
Kevin, have your practices been any more rigorous or more physical maybe than compared to last season or seasons before?
No. I mean, we make our practices pretty rigorous anyway. You know, there's part of the, you know, obviously you got to stay up against the offense. You don't carry to the ground because we have tackle, non-tackle rules, you know, those kind of things. But when we go to the defensive field, you know, we try to create physicality in every drill we can, just as simple because we're in the SEC.
Could you just talk about how you go about doing that?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to put on a football clinic in here, and that'd be a little wild.
We
Yeah.
could use one.
I know you could, but I'm not going.
No, but I mean, is it all defensive guys or the scout team guys?
Well, right now we don't have scout teams. I mean, we're not dividing up as scout teams. The only people we have on our defensive field is you know, but you can set up one-on-one drills, two-on-one drills, tackling drills, pursuit drills, all kinds of things.
Kevin, how important are these early days for the newcomers, the young guys, that you want to kind of see how they stack up to know that you'll be able to try to work those guys into the mix early on in the season?
It's important, obviously, because you recruited them to help you, and there's the numbers show there's been a lot of freshmen play here in the last 2 years. Usually, most of those guys that did, somewhere about the 5th, 6th, 7th day of fall camp, they're still going at a high rate. You know, day one, you know, everybody's kind of got that energy. They got one page of install or one set of install, but when that playbook installation gets to be considerably thicker, then things start turning a little bit, and you can see some slow down a bit and some accelerate. And so that we're not at that point yet, but we've got a good start with the young guys.
How is that going to change the new redshirt rule? Going to change their mindset? Getting the youngest guys, when before it was, hey, if they're going to redshirt once the season starts, they're kind of checked out to a certain extent. But now they know they can play for you guys possibly week 2, week 4. You know,
right. Well, I think the biggest thing is that it's important enough what you're asking about the new redshirt rule and the fact that it's the 4 games and it could occur anytime in the 13, 14, 15 games you play. The important thing of that is it's so important that we've talked about it and we have a plan. Now, when you say, well, what's that plan? Well, it means there'll be some that you could play early, you could play later, depending on it, that the variables change because of when and how to do that. And there's nobody specific yet. It's just a plan of we could do this, we could do this, we could do that. So it's important. I think you probably hit it on the head. The hardest thing about being a freshman is if you're here as a freshman, after you get through fall camp, school starts, and now you're not playing. That's a hard way of life for a freshman who obviously was recruited at a high level in the SEC, and then all of a sudden he's not playing. And you know, everybody's asking him back home why he's not playing. Well, he doesn't know that now. He can't say, well, I'm redshirting, you know, because you really never redshirted to the end of the year anyway. That's when you officially turned it in. But if you hadn't played in the first 6 games, it's probably a pretty good indicator.
Where does Javon Myers kind of stand, you know, with the defense right now? I know he had to deal with some injuries, but
Yeah.
Saw him out there first team nickel on first day, which I'm sure probably doesn't mean much. But how's he working in the fold, and where do you see him playing?
Well, the only thing about that is somebody else asked me about the first team thing. I know y'all only get a brief time on the field. The ones and threes are on one end, and the twos and fours are on the other end. So you're looking at ones and threes. So I don't know how you would decipher are they working with the first team, but they may be third team. So, but that having been said, he's really picked things up. He's very very smart young man. He's worked really hard at it, and he's practicing really well.
Kevin, can you talk about Washington and what you think about their offense?
Wow, you're jumping out there real good, aren't you? We're in day 5 of. We're worried about Auburn right now. Now, as a coach, yeah, we've game planned in the summertime, game planned in the spring, but we're not talking to our players about Washington. We're worried about installation right now, trying to be the best we can be. And really, at the end of the day, you've heard me say this before. It's not who you play; it's how you play.
Does that have any impact on the players? You think that knowing they're playing a team that's ranked 6th in the country to open the season?
I've been asked that before, but really, be honest with you, it's kind of getting to be an old question because last year it was Clemson, the year before it was Clemson, the year before that I forget who it was, somebody at another place. Not here, at another place, and at another place before that, it's always somebody. So, I don't know. You had to ask them.
What about that rotation with TD and Big Cat, and what you're expecting out of them? And I'm sure it's nice to have that depth at that position.
Well, that's also Nick Coe's position.
Yeah.
So, we've got 3 guys that, Nick's at this point in camp is really having a good camp. TD is a young guy that has a skill set. Rushes the passer real well, and Big Cat is really coming along.
Just overall with that group, though, I mean, do you see a guy that can step up and be that double-digit sack guy like you've had in the last couple of years at that spot?
It may be another spot. And if it is, then we'll generate it and scheme it up to where it's another spot. But if it happens to be that spot, then we'll scheme it up and generate it from that spot. It's too early to tell that yet.
Could you see Nick end by Marlon Davidson? You move Davidson inside and just moving guys around still, or do you think Nick's just strict at buck right now?
Well, you're talking about third down. We've only had 1 day of third down practice. So we got to get into a scrimmage and have some more third down deals. So that's still a work in progress. Obviously, the skill set allows Nick to be inside, outside, Marlon to be inside, outside.
Speaking of buck, Kevin, how's Richard Jr. the freshman look so far? I know it's early.
He can run, and he knows there's one football out there. He likes to practice. So if you've figured out that there's only one ball out there, chase it, and you can run, then you got a chance.
Who rotates with Marlon at that other end spot?
In terms of,
like, who's repping at that particular position?
well, we move them all around.
Okay.
Nick can go there. Derek can go there. Andrew Williams can go there.
Okay.
So, I mean, those guys have been around so long. We've had them for 2 years. They're all interchangeable.
Given that specific on the nature of the injury for Noah, but a long-term thing or just a short-term, he's out today or?
Well, obviously, head coach talks about injuries, but we're proceeding for the season just like we were at the end of spring.
You end spring where he's projected to start for you. That's one of the better position moves from offense to defense or vice versa.
Right.
Of Gus's tenure. What is it about him that enabled him to make this transition to that?
Well, he's really smart, and he can fly, obviously, run, which is a trait at corner. But probably the biggest thing that I didn't know, maybe y'all knew, I didn't know, was he physical enough and would he tackle? And he is. So that was probably the biggest thing that jumped out.
Kevin, that move allowing JD to move inside, how big could that be to have JD at the nickel?
Well, we're still working with some of that now because obviously, one of the things that we had going for us is we had Dean, Carlton, and JD all with the ability to play corner. First year, even Hosley could steal some snaps at it. And then last year we had those 3. But if we can have 3 guys, and then you throw, Tut, Roger, Broussard's had a good camp. If you can get 3 in that rotation and then have a couple of stars, then that helps. We're not at the point now where we're saying, okay, that's set. Whether 13's inside, JD's inside, whether he's outside. We're not set at that yet. We're still looking at some other things.
Jeremiah picked up where he's left off?
Yes, high, very, very smart guy. It's been a good move to safety for him and for us. And Daniel back there, those two, they're older, they're veterans, they're very smart, and it just, when you go out there with those two, they quarterback the back end back there, so the mental errors are minimal, very minimal.
Do you like what you've seen from Smoke just, over these last few months?
Well, both of the freshmen now, they're out there with the second group. They got a very good skill set. The thing that helps them right now, 5 days into it, is they went through spring practice. So they're pretty far along in that regard. The installation is not overwhelming for them because we have not put anything in the first 5 days that they didn't have in the spring. And they're right now, if we keep progressing, that would be 4 guys at safety, which I don't think anybody in this room thought that would be the case.
And you feel pretty good, obviously.
Including myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Where's Jordan Peters fitting in right now? Okay.
he's playing star, okay, which he's played star before. So he and JD and Myers are taking most of the star reps. Daniel takes some, and then we've got one other thing we're going to look at next week at the start position.
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned Roger. I mean, obviously very early for him, but what have you seen out of him? A guy that didn't go through.
He's a lot like Noah in that he can run. He understands it, and he's a physical guy. Of course, he played every position on the field in high school. So, when you can run like that and be an edge player and still has physicality to you, that helps. Long arms.
Kevin, as good a year as Jamel had last year, and there's some stats out there that show he was one of the hardest corners to throw against in the country last year. As good a year as he had, he mentions interceptions as one area he wants to improve. He didn't have any.
Right.
How good can he be in your assessment of him as a cornerback when he's making it virtually impossible to throw against?
Yeah, when you're 6'2" and that long and run like he does, the guy, he looks like a linebacker when he walks in the room. And he's a smart guy, and he just does his job. His hello is a smile. He just doesn't talk. That's just who he is. But he's that way. He plays that way. He's just consistent. He just does his job.
Kevin, after being here in the third year now, how is it?
That's an amazing feat, ain't it?
Just in terms of comfort, and you talk about guys that you know, guys you recruited. How much better is that now than when you're trying to get to this point?
Well, I would say it varies from place to place because, over after 38, 39 years, you move around enough that you kind of get used to what a move feels like. But I think the thing that happened here was they bought in so quickly, and the unity of the group 2 years ago, the leadership of the group, it happened very fast. And so normally you say the third year was really different than the first year. But that first year they bought in so much that it was almost like we'd been doing this for a long time very quickly. But there's a little bit of difference. Now the thing we've got to fight is complacency, because you get used to something, you get complacent. And we've got a lot of things we've got to get better at. We got a lot of things we got to coach better. We got a lot of things we can't get used to the routine, get complacent. Oh, I know what to do. I know how we do it. We're not going to stay the same. You're not going to stay the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so we've really preached that about not getting complacent with the success we had, and then correcting the things that we need to correct, which that's a pretty full plate, meaning the corrections and the complacency.
Big picture, Kevin, I know you're thinking of focusing on a couple of things this offseason. One, I know you're keenly aware of the end of season, the last 2-game slides these last couple of years. Are there things you can do now and before the season starts to address that? Is it going to be the new redshirt rule could help guys stay fresher later in the year? Is it a small sample and it's 4 games?
Yeah.
And Alabama, the SEC championship and bowl games are just tough opponents and making too much of it? Or
I think you could have 10 people look at it and come up with 10 different opinions about why something happens. You know, the only thing we can do is look at the video. Look at the video and teach guys to do their job regardless of the circumstances. There's various things that happen in games that change the ebb and flow of a game. Maturity helps you handle that. You know, that has a lot to do with it. And so we are always approaching how to improve. So there's a laundry list of X's and O stuff. There's a laundry list of mental stuff. And then there's a laundry list of lessons from past years, lessons from past spring practice, from the practice 3 days ago. And so you're always looking how to improve that. And you seek help in it too. I mean, you seek outside help of professionals, of people that, you know, deal with mental things in terms of sports psychology. And the biggest thing is probably one of the things that we've talked to the guys about in a big way is dealing with adversity. You know, when you're Tom Brady and it's 28-3 and you're in the Super Bowl and you go watch the video of him talking on the sideline, it's no wonder they can handle adversity.
And also, looking back at games you guys have lost the last couple of years, I know you're focused on defense, but in games where the offense is struggling, and these are one-score games, it's usually the offense is struggling, but it's a very close game. Are there things you can point out and say the defense could help out if we did this?
Absolutely.
Mainly from scoring, obviously, but how do you can't just say create turnovers and score. Every defense wants to do that.
Yeah.
How schematically, without giving away too much, is that blitzing more? Is that teaching corners technique to jump routes better? Is that what do you do to try and?
Well, I mean, obviously, if there's a better thing to do when adversity strikes, you should have been doing it before adversity strikes. Okay? So, you know, we do what we do, and we teach our techniques, and we have our style of play, and obviously that can change with the style of players you have. It needs to change. It will change. It does change all the time. That's just coaching. But the biggest thing is just at some point in time, the great teams break through that glass ceiling of whatever it is and we've kind of identified some things that we can do better defensively, and that's what we focus on. We're a third of it, special teams, offense, defense, but we only control what we do. And so we're working on those things.
Kevin, what does it mean to have those 3 senior linebackers back in the middle of that defense?
Well, I'll tell you what it means is this. When you go out there and practice 5 days and you got Deshaun Davis and Darrell Williams and Atkinson, okay, lined up, and then you got Daniel Thomas and Denson lined up, just that. What happens is everybody knows what to do because they tell them what to do. So if you put a young guy out there with them, they know what to do because they're not overthinking because the guy beside them is telling them what to do. And, you know, our communication, I shouldn't say they're not out there giving them the playbook dissertation. We have words that trigger things that tell you what you're in. And so they just don't mess that up.
Going back to the defensive line, obviously you said several times last year that unit set the tone for what you guys accomplished defensively.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk this offseason that this defensive line could be one of the best in the country. I know that's just talk, but given what you return, how good can that group be this year?
Well, if we stay healthy, that's number one. You know, that's a big issue in college football, pro football at this level, staying healthy. If we stay healthy and we continue to work, don't get complacent, we continue to work, that group, I mean, it affects things. When you can win the line of scrimmage, it allows you to do a lot of things. And so, obviously, it helps you stop the run, make people one-dimensional. And then if they make them one-dimensional, then you can have a sack feast or at least a pressure feast. And so, you know, we had 37 sacks last year, I think was the number. And we would like to escalate that. That's a big challenge. But we've talked about it, and we're working on it. we got a group that has the ability to affect the game, and so we don't hide from that. Now, that having been said, it overshadows a lot of really good. I mean, there's been, you know, like those two corners or three corners, J.D., Dean, Carlton, have played really well at a high level. And you say, well, Dean, you didn't have many interceptions. Well, you had 37 sacks, and I think we were second in the country in pressures. So it's kind of hard to intercept the ball that's thrown in the third row, you know.
Where does this, in total talent, Kevin, where does this defense for you, I don't want to say rank, but where does it fall for you as far as in raw talent and especially next level talent? You could argue this is one of your most talented defenses of your career at the end of the season. And I know your LSU defense had a lot of NFL players on it, but you've got on that defensive line anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 draft pick level players. You've mentioned the 3 senior linebackers, the secondary with a lot of NFL caliber talent. Where does this group kind of stack up in your career?
You'll have to ask me that. I would like for you to ask me that in December, because really, the mindset of a group determines that. The ability's there. So if you're asking ability-wise, there's a lot of ability. And they're very coachable, and we've got to coach them, and we've got to put them in the right place. But at the end of the day, players play the game. And so they have to unify, which they're well on progress to do that. But they have to unify and consistently do that week in and week out, down in and down out, play after play after play. And so it remains to be seen.
Kevin, which young guys have caught your eye so far? I know it's early, but so far.
You're probably going to need to be more specific in terms of young guys, freshmen. Well, I think this, you know, when you can go out there and you can work with the twos, a pretty good list of freshmen. Not all the time, but some, and they're competing well and not making mental errors, and they've got skill set. When you look at Roger at corner, you look at Tutt at corner, Sherwood, Monday, you know, Jacoby McLean at linebacker. I mean, he's a not real big at this point in time, and you know, as a freshman, but his coach wasn't either and was pretty good, you know, and so he can run. And he's got really, really good instincts in the defensive line. Connors Miller is, you know, he wasn't here in the summertime, wasn't here in the spring, was a later enrollee, but he's got a very, very good skill set. Richard Juniper we already talked about him. So, I mean, I'm leaving probably somebody out, and I mean to. If I do, just fill in the blank and say I said it. But, you know, you're good at that anyway, so.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yep. Y'all good? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you.
Yeah, man.